Hello and welcome to our presentation. Today we are going to present our final project which consists of our dashboard and our poster. The inspiration of this project comes from our passion for movies and discussing them. One thing that we were always curious about, however, was why certain movies make more revenue. This served as the motivating reason for us to work on this project. The questions we aim to answer in our dashboard are: how was movie revenue impacted across different genres during different time periods? How does cast power impact the movie's revenue? How does movies' popularity impact its revenue? Do movies that belong to sequels end up making more revenue? The data sources we utilized come from fusing the TMDB and IMDb datasets. After performing various data cleaning and pre-processing operations, we were able to create 5 plots. Four of the plots involve analyzing the revenue of movies against time, genre, popularity, and budget. We also made a network graph of star actors, which utilizes machine learning and interaction techniques to showcase various levels of insights.
For our analysis, let's use the following case study. Suppose you were a movie executive looking to create a movie solely to make a lot of money and wanted to know how they could use this dashboard to accomplish that. The first and most important thing we would like to highlight is the network graph on the left side of the screen. The nodes represent the actors themselves, where each node is colored a shade of green to indicate how much revenue the movies they've starred and made. The darker the green, the higher the revenue. The edges indicate how many movies one actor has starred with another, where each edge is colored a shade of blue. The darker the blue, the more movies those actors have starred together. In terms of user interaction in the plot, you can hover over each actor's node to see in greater detail who they've worked with. You could also click on an edge between any two actors to see more information about the relationship.
One thing we would like to highlight is the integration of our machine learning model into the network graph. We added functionality in the nodes where if you click on specific actors, the model will report what the projected revenue would be if selected actors were featured in the cast. To achieve a model that could accomplish this, we decided to create a cast power metric to create our feature matrix. We use this feature matrix with a regression model to predict the revenue for a given list of actors. So if we select, let's say, Samuel L. Jackson, and then Liam Neeson and Willem Dafoe, we can see that our projected revenue featuring these actors would make approximately 50 million. If we add two more actors, let's say Bruce Willis and Matt Damon, the projected revenue increases to 137 million. Note that these projected numbers do not hold true for all of these actors. Every actor in the network has a cast power that contributes differently toward a movie's revenue. A general trend to take away from this plot is that these high grossing actors are well connected and some actors collaborate more frequently with others, but not everyone contributes equally to the movie's success. As a movie executive, use this tool. Using this tool would allow you to see which combinations of actors that would maximize your movie revenue without breaking your budget.
The next plot we would like to showcase is our genre versus revenue plot. As you can see here, the y-axis represents the different genres found in movies released since 1920, and the x-axis represents the billions of dollars a specific genre has made in total. As shown on the screen, the action, adventure, and drama categories are the top earning genres in terms of revenue. As a movie executive, you might be more inclined to make a movie that is one of these genres to maximize your revenue. Next, we want to focus our attention to the average revenue over time plot on the right-hand side of the screen. We can see from the plot that the average revenue of movies have increased over the years, with the most significant jumps in average revenue being from 1969 to 1980 and 2016 to 2017. This steady increase is likely due to advancements in the movie industry, such as better equipment, improved video editing software, CGI, etc.
So now let's take a look at popularity versus revenue scatter plot. In this context, popularity is defined as an aggregate metric in the TMDB movie database that is calculated based on user interactions with the service. So here we can see a generalized trend that higher the popularity score, the more revenue a particular movie could bring in. However, there's a lot of variance in the revenue of movies with a popularity score of 16 or higher, as much as 95 million to 1.5 billion. Finally, we'll go over the budget versus revenue plot. In this plot, we can see how the budget of a particular movie affects the revenue. We also add a distinction between points based on whether the movie was a part of collection, which is defined as a sequel, trilogy, etc. we can see that a large majority of movies had a budget of under $100 million to work with, but made up to $200 million in revenue. Movies that were part of collections saw higher budgets and therefore higher revenue compared to their non-collection counterparts. As a movie executive, this plot in particular is important as it allows you to weigh the trade-off between total budget versus potential earnings. You might also want to work on sequels if it means maximizing profits.
In addition to the plots we've demonstrated here, we have also integrated brushing and linking into these 4 standard plots for deeper analysis. For the genre plot, we can also click on any genre to filter the other 3 standard plots to filter further. If we click on, say, the action genre, we'll see the dashboard reload for all movies that have a primary genre listed as action. We can see that after 2000, the average revenue of action movies significantly increased, possibly due to improvements in CGI in the many franchises that have released since then, such as the X-Men, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Hobbit, etc., which further validates the belief that making an action movie is a great way to maximize revenue. I can also click on the same bar again to deselect that genre. For the average revenue over time plot, I can brush within a specific time range for further analysis. If I brush between, say, 1970 to 1975, we can see the dashboard reload, and that we can also see that drama movies dominated this time period, but the majority of movies were low budget, meaning less than 15 million, and most of them pulled in less than 150 million in revenue, with the exception of these 2 films up here, which if I highlight over them are The Exorcist and Jaws. I can also click anywhere on the plot to reset it as well. For the popularity versus revenue plot, I can brush over a specific region on the plot. If I brush between the high earning movies with a score of 16 near the top right of the plot, so let's define it as this region here, and we see the dashboard reload with that corresponding data, we can see that most of the movies are of the action adventure genre, and that there are brief spikes in average revenue for the year some of these movies released. And it looks like quite a bit of them, as colored in blue, are parts of collections, which further validates the belief that working on a movie that is a sequel or part of a series is likely to be profitable. I can then click on anywhere on the plot to reset it. For the budget versus revenue plot, I can brush in a similar fashion to the previous plot we went over. If I brush the movies that had a budget of at least $200 million, so we can select, say, this region right here, we can see similar results that we saw before. I can then click on anywhere on the plot to reset it.
So, in conclusion, to reiterate the results mentioned earlier in the presentation, if we wanted to make suggestions to a movie executive based on results of our dashboard, we would make the following comments. Chances are you might have to work with a budget of less than 50 million US dollars, but you could potentially make up to 100 to 200 million US dollars in revenue. Working on a sequel would net your movie more money. It should be an action, adventure, or drama movie. And if movie's popularity score is 16 or more, you are likely to see an expected revenue of at least 96 million US dollars. Picking high grossing actors can raise your revenue, but picking a good combination of actors based on star power can further maximize your earnings. And with that concludes our presentation. We'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to us today.